You asked a really good question. You want to know how long you should wait before going to the hospital if you're planning on getting an epidural. Generally speaking, we advise women who are over 37 weeks to wait until contractions are about 3 to 5 minutes apart, and that's been going on for at least 2 hours. This increases the chances that your cervix is actually dilating or changing from the contractions. Now, you probably heard a lot of women say, I was in labor for 5 days, and because they were contracting for 5 days. But the true definition of labor is cervical change, meaning your cervix is dilating from hour to hour. So a woman may have been contracting for 5 days leading up to the delivery of her baby, but she was probably only in labor for the hours leading up to the delivery. What that means is that even if you're planning on an epidural, you're going to experience pain during labor. There's going to be time at home while you're trying to decide if it's time to go in, while you're waiting for the contractions to get regular. And then once you're at the hospital, there might be a waiting period where we have to see what your body is doing. For example, let's say that you came into the hospital because you were contracting every 4 minutes. I would check your cervix and find out what you were dilated to, and if you were, say, 2 centimeters, all we can really do at that point is cross our fingers, tell you to work hard, shut the door, come back in an hour. In the meantime, of course, we're monitoring you and the baby and making sure things are okay. And then I come back in an hour and recheck your cervix, and if you were still 2 centimeters, in spite of having regular and intense contractions, it means you're not in labor yet, and so you would get to go home and continue to work hard and come back later when they were more frequent or more intense. But let's say your cervix changed from 2 to 3 centimeters in an hour's time. That means you're in labor and you get to stay, and your doctor's probably going to let you get an epidural at that point. A lot of studies have been done to try to find out if epidurals speed up the progress of labor or slow it down. And really, in real practice, what I've seen is that as long as epidurals are given at an appropriate time when you're contracting regularly, they won't slow you down. In most cases, in fact, epidurals can speed you up because you're having a hard time coping, and once your body relaxes after you get the epidural, you start to dilate. When my patients ask me when they should get an epidural when they're contracting, I tell them that they should think about their pain on a scale from 0 to 10. 10 is like surgery with no anesthesia. And think about your pain when you have a headache and you're wanting to take like a Tylenol for it to make sure it doesn't get out of control. That's about the same point you'd want to get an epidural. So let's say if you're going to take Tylenol for a headache at a 4 or a 5, that's about the time you'd get an epidural, and it should be just fine and not affect your labor length. So back to your original question about when to go to the hospital if you're planning on getting an epidural. Of course, we don't want you to be in torture and to hurt longer than you need to, but you are increasing your chances of being able to stay and actually being in labor if you wait till they're 3 to 5 minutes apart and it's been going on for at least 2 hours. Now, also be sure to watch a few other things. If you start having any vaginal bleeding, if you feel like your water's broken, or you're not feeling your baby move at least 6 times each hour, then it's time to come to the hospital no matter what your contractions are doing, if you're contracting or not. Those are reasons in and of themselves to get checked out on labor and delivery. Good luck with everything, and if you have any other questions for me in the future, feel free to ask them on our Facebook page at facebook.com/InnerMountainMoms, and recommend us to your friends and family too.